we need gambling to sustain it. Even the kings that have the horses and buys the expensive horses, they're looking for a return. It may not be.
So welcome back again to the platform, Mr. Darwin Clarke. It's always a pleasure to have you on, man. You always bring so much insight, so much information. I love your conversations. It's always a pleasure when you're on. I never know what's going to happen, and there's always something interesting. I feel like we're going to do this a lot more often, than I predicted. But,
Wow.
For me, I welcome it every time.
Well, thank you, sir. A pleasure being here, man. I'm surprised I'm back on again, but I guess not enough said last time, right?
well, you might need to clear that up for people who didn't see the last one, but you're definitely welcome on here anytime.
No, thank you very much.
So, what's new in your parts of the woods, man?
Nothing on my part. I mean, pretty quiet. Just I would say just work in church, but I don't go to church, so just work. But the Rock won another championship today, so I'm not sure how. I think this is 5 now in the US. So congrats to him. And he was telling me, he's like, I don't know how to take this one. I'm having mixed emotions. He was like a little melancholy or something. I don't know what was going on with him, but speaking to him, he couldn't really express how this one felt to him. So that's kind of different.
Did he explain what he meant at all?
Well, I think he was happy about it, but he went down a road of maybe he's getting older, maybe he has grown. He's not sure. But I mean, I was talking to him right after he received his trophy and stuff like that. So maybe in a couple of days he might figure it out. See what the emotions were or where it was coming from. But he wasn't 100% sure at the time.
Well, that's interesting, but I think definitely I would love to catch up with him and hear from him what's going through his head and what's brought him to that point. But I'm happy for him no matter what.
Yeah, I'm happy for him also. But I mean, it's still good he was able to express, that it was a different feeling with this new championship. He just felt something. I'm not sure. But anyway, you'll see him next week. He's coming up your way, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, tomorrow. So
tomorrow? Wow. I'm a day behind and $1 short. So a week behind on $1 short. Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing him. To me, it's awesome for him, switching tracks, second year at Thistledown, second title. That's pretty awesome, pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's very, very cool. I remember when this kid used to drive 6 hours round trip, drive 3 hours, gallop horses, and then drive 3 hours back. But now he comes out to the Pacific Northwest. He's 3 hours away, but he doesn't get in his car to come see me. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to find out what's up with that. Maybe if I get a few horses for him to gallop, he might show up, He might come up. But anyway, yeah, I think his daughter scored a nice goal. He posted it. Yeah, he's having a good time. He's doing that work-family balance, and seems to be splitting it really well. And,
well, if any man can do that, that's always a good thing, right? Being able to split that balance, try to split it and make it balanced.
Yeah, so it should be a healthy balance, yeah. But not much going on in my world. What's really? It's just looking at foals. I'm going to do some advertising here shortly. I'm still not sure if I'm going to have a horse for the Gold Cup, but I'm actually leaning to a really, really heavy no. I was talking to some people recently, and the vibe is not there this year. Just the enthusiasm, I think, is not there. I don't know why, but as the people will say, I'm not feeling it, but we'll see. But like I said, I'm leaning to a heavy no.
Well, that's a little bit of a downer.
Yeah, it is, but it's reality. The beauty about saying no is that if I change my mind and say yeah, everybody will be on a high, right? Or at least the people around me will be on a high, and they'll be like, yeah. But if it goes from yes to no, then it's a real downer. But right now, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm working too hard, Derek.
Oh, maybe. You were just talking about Rocco in his old age. I hope the same thing's not happening for you.
Well, to show you how old I'm getting, I told a friend of mine a story yesterday, and I thought he took it in a bad way. I thought maybe I hurt his feelings or something. So it was on my mind all day. And then when I got off work, first thing I did was call him. I said, "Look, we were speaking this morning. I told you something, and you had a weird reaction." And he assured me, "It's like, no, man, I was cool with it. No big deal. If I had any problems, I would have told you then and there." And I said, "Cool." I said, "It was just on my mind, while I was at work. So I figure I would, confront it when I get off." So I was happy that he wasn't upset with my decision.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, fast forward to this morning, I called him up. I'm talking to him on my way to work. And he said, "Look, man, yesterday I wasn't mad at you or anything like that, but you told me the same stuff the day before." So that was my reaction. It's like, why are you telling me this 2 days in a row? Like you're getting old, man. You need to check yourself. So I was like, wow. I said, man, I talked to you too much because no, I'm being redundant, It's like, but I knew it was a weird reaction, I spoke to another friend about it, and I said, I'll deal with it when I get off work, because it wasn't the reaction I was looking for. Right, seeing that I'm repeating myself 2 days in a row, he that was his reaction. Like, dude, are you losing it? Did he smoke your breakfast or what? It was just, but I felt it in the conversation.
My friend will always say, "Darwin, that was a senior moment."
Yes. And nature would have it. It's going to get worse, man. It's going to get worse.
It doesn't get any better from here.
I don't think so, man. I mean, I remember the important things, though. But sometimes I get stuff a little. Well, I don't get it mixed up, but I repeat myself too much. Yeah.
You know what? I usually do. If I if I forget something, or if I repeat something, I in my head, it plays out in my head. So I try to check it off and say, "Derek, you just did this, or you just did that." I was like, I wonder if people around me are noticing this.
Oh, really? Oh,
and I need to pay attention. I need to pay attention just to check myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when I get in the house, the wife talks for like 45 minutes. I mean, and all these instructions, all these things that she needs done. Oh my God! So I think maybe that I can blame on her. It's just like, I have her box over here, and she fills it up, so it trickles over to my front. What do you call that? Something lobe, frontal lobe, yeah, or it goes somewhere in the brain.
Well, that's all right. I'm pretty sure you're not alone in this boat. The 45 minutes. The wife speaking. I mean, some men will probably say only 45 minutes.
Well, she literally gets out of breath. So I escape with 45. Well, that's 45 before I really then have my how was your day conversation kind of thing. Yeah.
Man.
Well, I mean,
one day you might need to clear up all that information, because, and I know a lot of times you'd be talking, you say, you got to feed the wife, you do all this, but some people are not really sure what you're talking about. They're probably thinking that, what are you really saying?
Oh, am I
Because
having a
it's a little
basement in a
bit
cage
vague
or
right now.
something?
It's like, what is happening?
It's funny. I almost posted a couple nights ago. I was watching some Australian races, and I was going to post a video of my house
Uh-huh.
and just show the wife down there. She was on her tablet, because in my office area, I can do a panoramic view and come around, and it shoots down the hall and shows like her on the bed there, And I was like, nah, I won't post it. People might get the wrong idea. But I was like, the
Yeah.
wife is on her tablet doing whatever, playing a game or something. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any case. She's free to go.
Man, you play too much, people would say.
Yeah. Derek, my first memory was probably when I was like 3 years old. And then my second vivid memory was getting ready to go to school for the first time. And it gets better, but she can talk about being in the crib, driving her dad's car when she was like 6, 7, 8 months old. I'm like, what were you doing at that time? Yes. But I remember, like, she can tell you honestly, like, first time she met me, what I was wearing, what I said, I mean, all that stuff. And yeah, she has an amazing memory. I mean, amazing.
Man, I
Yeah.
don't remember none of that stuff either. I mean, like my wife, she tells me the same thing too about when she was like a toddler or something, and
Right.
I'm thinking that she's just joking. I didn't realize that other people share
No.
the same kind of memory.
My wife does it too. But like she would say, okay, remember we went so and so, and Randy was there, this person was there, and she'll tell you all the people that were there and what happened. And it's never a good thing. It's always negative. It's like freaking it.
What the only memory that really stuck in my mind from the time I was like maybe, I don't know, 3 years old or something, was I was in the preschool, and I think I shit myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I never forgot. That was
Never.
one memory.
Right.
Because I refused to use the washroom.
Right. I remember getting ready to go to school for the first time. That's vivid in my memory. And on the way to school, because obviously you have to walk. And I was crying so bad, and my mom bought me an old Henry bar. And yeah, so I remember that day. And then obviously, coming up through primary school and stuff like that, a lot of memories. And then, going on to secondary school, yeah. But nothing before 3, man. I mean, yeah, that was all a blur.
Well, I want to ask you a question here. I mean, you're talking about the Gold Cup in 2025, and obviously now you think you're leaning to a hard no. And I guess you were saying earlier when we spoke a couple of weeks ago that by now you would have identified a horse and so forth. Is that it? I mean, like, what has brought you to this point? Because 2 years ago you were pretty passionate about sending horses to the Gold Cup, and now you've had a little bit of taste of ownership, for the Gold Cup, and yeah, I think you seem to have liked it. And I mean, it was a really good experience for me too this year, and I think there's a lot of people who are really looking forward to seeing you just jumping inside the whole game.
Yeah, well, it's with an asterisk. And I think we're going to be there, but I'm not. It's not like last year when I was ready, rolling, and everything was in place. But we may have a runner, but there's an asterisk on what I said earlier about almost a heavy no of not partaking in the Gold Cup. So there's an asterisk.
It's funny you say that, because me and a couple guys were talking, and we were saying, like, man, I think the Bajans just waiting for Darwin to buy a horse, and then they go out
And then jump in.
together.
So maybe that's why there's an asterisk. I'm not revealing. I'm not putting my cards on the table. I'm using your platform of my media to maybe tell the guys, hey, maybe not.
So that's our
But yeah,
little joke, right?
but people have told me that over the years. It's like, man, you should not come out and say, first of all, what and who and why, and I'm saying for what? I say it really doesn't bother me if people know. I mean, yeah, but people say you shouldn't. You should just like wait till the last minute and surprise everyone and have people scrambling. And I don't believe in that though. I believe honestly, it's like if I'm doing something and I can reveal it, I'll reveal it. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty honest, but that in the game of when there's money involved, there's always someone who wants the edge, and if they can get the edge, they're gonna take that edge.
Yeah, but they're not going to change who I am. So that's just who I am. I mean, last year we played a little joke, but then once everything was official, came out and this is a horse, this, that, whatever, and we went from there. But yeah, there's an asterisk. Yeah, there's an asterisk for sure. I was watching the show with Kyler, aka Patrick Husbands, Tyler, and do you know it's just a small world. I give him the horse to get his jockey license. Like I provided the horse because he was trying to get his license in Barbados for years and years, and then you gotta have to have a horse, blah blah blah. And I offered to give him this little horse I was training. Boy, what was her name? I don't remember the name right now, but her mom was a nice race horse called Shunt. But I don't remember her name. But anyway, I saw him on the platform, and I was like, yeah. I don't know if he remembers that though.
Oh, small world.
Very small world, yeah.
Very small world. I saw him for many years. It was like 2 years when I first started doing the podcast. I think back then when it was Hall and Headley and stuff like that. But right quickly after that dissolve, I saw Tyler's name popped up here and there.
Yeah,
and
he was on the show for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I wasn't watching, so I wasn't really paying attention. So
I watched it a couple times, and he was on it. He was very funny, very informative. Yeah, he's a funny guy. I love his impressions of Patrick now. Oh my god,
yeah.
he
does a really good job.
Oh, he does a great job. I mean, like,
yeah.
If I close my eyes and listen, I was it's Patrick.
That's the same thing I said, bro. That's the same thing I said.
He has it. He has it. So I mean, like, oh my god. The way he calls him Skyler, it's like that. That is Patrick to a T, man. But yeah, very good impression.
Yeah, well, actually, I spoke with Tyler after Kyler, and
Kyler.
I think he's gonna come back on a couple more times, and we're gonna talk some more stuff. He wants to get into a little bit of the broadcasting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna talk a little bit more, and hopefully someone big recruits him and not
a smaller platform.
Yeah.
He was really
hopefully
good.
someone big recruits him. He has a lot of information,
I would actually listen to him. He has a very good voice, and he is funny, and he knows his stuff. So yeah, hopefully he gets recruited with someone.
Yeah, definitely, and that's all I can hope for, and hopefully he takes off from there, because I think he'll be great. It's just a matter of how they transform whatever he's getting involved with, how they transform it so that he can fit in or can suit him or something like that.
Right.
So it'd be real cool.
What do you think about the war in Gaza?
Oh man, that's what I think about the war. You know what? I don't like any wars at all. I'll be honest with you, bro.
Correct.
I really wish. You know what? There was a point where I thought that wars were never going to fight. That were never going to be fought again. I always felt like wars. I felt like back in the after that last Gulf War, and then, they had the one in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that wars were going to be fought with economics and businesses, and that's how people were going to do wars. Because to me, it was becoming so global. Everyone was becoming so global. We got the internet. People are communicating with each other a lot more. So I was like, there's no way people want to kill each other with bombs and all this kind of stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you do a war, a financial war, the same countries that help them now will still help them. So I mean, it's not to say that that it'll stop wars. I mean, if America goes to war again, I think it's going to be what everybody's calling the big one. I think because they try not to get provoked, or try diplomacy and whatever not to go to war. But hopefully they won't go to war in my lifetime. So yeah, but
What do you mean in your lifetime? Because I mean, they've been in Iraq and Afghanistan.
well, I don't really consider those places a war. Yes, they're fighting, so don't get me wrong, it's a war. But I'm talking about a big war like China or Iran. Places that have nuclear weapons. So that's what I mean by a war. Yeah, but you go fight some terrorists in the hills and stuff like that. The ground wars are I don't want to say okay, but I don't consider that a big war. But yeah. So a Muslim friend of mine, he posted something, and that's why I asked you about it. The 1 year and stuff like that, and he has his opinion. I did not comment. I read it and I give him his space, and I see both sides of the conflict, but Israel has a right to defend themselves. And yeah, you can say Netanyahu has gone too far, or he's a warmonger. He wants to destroy Gaza and Lebanon and work all his way out. Maybe Iran if they jump back in. But I still think he needs to defend himself. I mean, what are you going to do? You invade my country. You take 100 and something hostages. You wouldn't give them back. What do you want me to do? Just sit down and, fiddle my thumbs? No. But maybe he's gone too far. But where's that red line? There's no line. I mean, American politicians are trying to get him to slow down, to peace talks, ceasefire, something. But he's adamant that I want my hostages back and I'm going to keep fighting. They gave him a reason to fight. I mean, he always wants to fight, so they gave him a reason. But
that's a very interesting take, because it's one of the things that I try my best not to really get too opinionative about, because the reason why is because I don't know enough, and the reason why and there's no excuse for me not to know enough. I mean, the history is well documented, but because it's on the other side, it's not something that I really devote time to. But nevertheless, the information is there. It's always been there for all of our lives.
yeah.
But the one thing is that I hear various stories from two sides in terms of Palestinian and Israeli, right? So when you hear those stories, you can't help but go on a pause. And the reason why is because people have such strong opinions, right? People have strong opinions on that, and it's the one thing that I would say to you is that person says, you invaded my country, and other people say, well, whose country was it in the first place?
Right.
And you're occupying my space. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I really don't have enough information. I really can't really say much on it, because then it makes me look like I really need to do
Like
more
you're
research.
back in, but okay.
Yeah.
So it's like splitting hairs, okay? And I'll use America as an example. We had the Civil War, and the South still thinks that they won the war. They still have the rebel flags, and They hate everybody north of the Mason-Dixie line, you know. And it's like, dude, when are you going to give it up? When are you going to figure out, okay, you lost the war, and let's all get along, let's all move on. But they can't move on, right? And these are people that live in so-called peace. I mean, we don't have outbreaks like that. So between the Israel and the Palestinians, there's always going to be conflict over the land, okay? So we need two good leaders to say, okay, two sovereign states, this is your land, this is my land. But the problem is, on the Palestinians front, is that half of the country likes Hamas, and half of the country will like different leaders to really have peace so they can all live in harmony. And that's a problem, that's a fundamental problem. Same with Iraq and Iran, same thing. You know, you have 3 or 4 different prominent religious beliefs, so they'll never get along, even within themselves. You know, depends who's the leader and what he wants and stuff like that. And people can say, well, America is showing shades of that now with the political leaders we have. You know, you got Donald Trump, who wants quote unquote white society. He wants to get away with all, deport all the brown people, legal, illegal, and make it harder, you know. And then the Federalist Society, they want it all white. So it's like, okay, we have it here, and it used to be an underlying thing, but now it's in the open. You know, people are advocating that, you know, or, you know, writing, can't say legislation because it's not law, but there's this thing called Project 2025 that outlines some hideous things in it. And people are pushing it. So if Donald Trump gets in, they're going to try to push that agenda, you know. He says he's going to imprison all his political opponents, and he's going to do this. And I'm like, so he's taking the country back a couple hundred years. But there's people that they're for it. So I'm saying that to say that the conflict, you know, in Gaza is more complicated than America. And but hopefully it gets resolved. I guess that's where I'm at. But I can see both sides of the coin. But I don't expect Israel to say, okay, well, you attacked me, you did this, I'm just going to not do anything. No. They have to defend their country. And then people are blaming the West because the West supplies them with defense missiles and arms and stuff like that. So their take on it is that, okay, America is defending Israel in this war, you know, but America wants the war to stop. You know, all the genocide that's going on in Palestine, you know, they're trying to get food in, trying to help those people, trying to broker peace, you know. Qatar is involved trying to have a ceasefire, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I really don't know.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I know earlier you said that Israel has a right to defend himself. And you also mentioned that the genocide happening in Palestine. Mm-hmm. Do you see it as a genocide?
Well, there are a lot of people dying. I mean, like 30,000 people or 40,000 people have died in a year. And I don't want to contradict myself, but if Hamas is hiding in a hospital or school or whatever, and it gets bombed, you know, it looks bad on Israel. But what do you want them to do? You know?
You know, I've heard, like I watch many of the other podcasts, and I watch many other people comment, you know, past the remarks and the 2 cents on the whole conflict. And I've also heard people said there's no way that you will be able to defeat Hamas. And the reason why they say because it's just an ideology, mm-hmm. right? And you're saying, like, you know, this is not a fair thing to go in battle with because, for example, the IDF, that's the army versus some groups of people with an idea of what they feel or think should happen within that area, I guess they recruit other people. And I guess if you think about it, um, and I'll try my best to work with this, but if you think about it, if you was a little child in those areas and you've heard stories that a group of people killed your grandfather and your father and your
Yeah.
mother, and here you are as a young man, you might have some different ideas of how you feel about the other side, right? So to end it, I don't know. I think it would have to take a lot of people saying sorry,
Right.
sorry, sorry, sorry. But it doesn't seem like people want to say sorry. So that might
Yeah.
need to happen.
Yeah, but other conflicts were ended. Vietnam War was a horrible
Ireland,
war. That was, yeah, exactly. So it's just wanting to end it because, like you said, if you're a young kid and this is happening now, in 20 years you'll be able to fight, and you might have that anger, for Israel. So it would continue forever. But at some point, someone has to say enough is enough. But wars. If you're born into war, I think 20, 30 years you're gonna roll your head, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna get some revenge for my mom, grandma, whoever died. So, but I mean, Israel seemed to be easier with it. You know what I mean? Because if you attack, let's say someone attacked Barbados, I would go back and fight for Barbados. So it's the same thing. But wars are endless. They cost a lot of money. Infrastructure gets destroyed, has to be rebuilt. I mean, right now there's like two major wars going on. Russia and Ukraine, and this war is already a year. And I thought maybe a couple months it would be over. But the thing is, they kidnap Americans also, and America did not send in troops to go get our hostages and stuff like that. They're just watching to see it play out. I remember when the war first started, there were some a Congress lady. She's of Palestinian descent. She's a Democrat, and she had a little group protesting and stuff like that. And within a week or so, it was shut down. All of a sudden she's quiet. She's not doing that. But somehow America learns how to live with wars and our inner conflicts, and we get through. We absolutely get through. It's like when kids in America grew up with whatever's going on at the time, I don't see it being perpetrated 20, 30 years later. We learn to move on, live with each other, be tolerant to a certain degree, because there's some people that just won't be tolerant for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's education or loving people more than you love the hate within you. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that somehow in America, whatever amount of religions we have here and beliefs, we all seem to come together when we need to. But there's underlying hate like other countries. But you live in the best country. You guys don't go to war. You guys don't have all this conflict. Like, I got to move north, man.
Canada is a very smart country. People
Peaceful.
they make
Nobody
fun of
wants
Canadians.
to invade you. Nobody wants to invade you.
They make fun of Canadians, but my friend told me the other day, he's like, Canada is really smart. He was like, I actually love the way how Canada does things. But there's other people who have their own opinions about Canada and this and that. I got friends from different parts of the world, and some of their opinions it makes me laugh, maybe chuckle up a bit, because their way of saying or doing things is completely contrast to the way how I see it. So
Right.
they still want people to be tough and and to flex muscles and stuff. I'm like, nah, Canada ain't gonna do that,
You
man.
can't
We
have it both
think
ways.
about it
Yeah, we
differently,
don't do that here.
you know.
We're all cool, man.
So like the way how people view things, I think, has changed. There was a time where everyone needed to be the strongest voice and the strongest muscle in order to show that they exist. But now, I mean, you can just be slick about how you do things. Shake hands, communicate. You realize there's competition. Just like horse racing or anything else, there's competition, but people still, at the end of the day, you go in a jockey's room with your competitors, or if you're owner, you still go out and take care of your horse and say, hey, how you doing, whatever, and you still have to coexist with the other people. So I think there could be better ways, but there's some areas that just seems like they need to continue showing that muscle, that force. And I
Yeah.
never thought that I would see such big wars in my time ever again, but here we are with two right there.
Right. But a lot of times, too, there are a lot of ignorant people. I remember COVID, after COVID, when stuff reopened and stuff like that, they had people attacking Asian people and elderly Asian people. I'm like, there's an Asian man or woman in their 70s or 80s, and some idiot would attack them. So we went through that for a while, but I think it's died down now. But it's basically the same thing with other places, pockets in the world. But these people pick up guns and go to war. But the Asians pushed back a little bit, went on TV, told their stories, and it kind of settled down. But it was small pockets. But I don't think our society is that ignorant that a large group would get together to target another large group. It doesn't really perpetrate that way. Not in the U.S. I mean, like I said, with the guy that wants to be president again, that ugly side of America, raise a head again and like, hey, I'm still here. And you're like, I thought that shit was over, but it's not, man. It really is
I,
not.
I got to tell you though, he's very entertaining to watch. He's, I mean, he talks a lot of smack, but he's very entertaining. To run a country, then that's something different. I don't know, but
No,
it's very entertaining to watch.
but honestly, he's losing it, man. He is. Biden lost it. Biden got a little slow and stuff like that because he's 80 something, but the other guy is right there with him. He was a
Yeah.
little better than Biden, but now he's looking like the old man. Speech
Yeah.
is slurring and can't have a conversation about anything. Says the same thing over and over and over. Rambles. And I'm like, come on, Donald. Somebody needs to tell you to go away. But the
Jeez.
Republican Party doesn't have anyone. I mean, well, Joe Biden, he said, okay, I'm not going to run again. He was pressured to do it, but everybody rally around the next person up. The Republicans would not do that. No matter
Mm.
who they pick, if Donald Trump had to say, no, I can't do it, they would not. That party would just die. And in America, we say every day we need both parties. We need both these people to run the country or, checks and balances. We need Republicans and Democrats. One wants to do this, one wants to do the other. We just need the two parties, to kind of police each other, you know. But
Yeah.
right now, the Republicans are in trouble. So
To me, it seems so. To me, it
my
seems so.
wife said if Trump wins, she's moving. So I might be coming north, my friend, or going south and back to Barbados. So we'll see. Like 3 weeks away, buddy. I might be packing my bags.
Well, right now it looks like the Democrats um, are having a little bit of momentum.
Yeah,
Based on what I see on TV. I don't know what is happening over there, but that's what it seems like. Um, we pay attention here too. We also have a bit of conflict here too in Canada with the politicians. So they're trying to get rid of Trudeau,
Oh, really?
but
Wow.
he's still standing strong. He still has
Okay.
a bit of force here. We'll see what happens at the end. But
Wow. But yeah, it's a tight race. The thing about it is, um, the popular vote doesn't win the election here. They have the electoral college, which is a weird system of doing things. But if the Democrats turn out to vote, then Kamala will win for sure. But Democrats, they want to stay home. They want to go to the rallies, talk, but not show up to vote. I think only like 50-something% of Americans vote. So you have 170-something million people that don't vote, Derek. But, after the elections, they all want to bitch or moan. The guy didn't get in. This guy what, And even in the local races, they don't vote either. So things get passed and they'll moan about it. And I would say, did you vote? No, I don't do that. I'm like, well, shut up then. If you're not taking part in the process, don't complain about it, And then there's
I've been watching a few shows, and they talk about the politics in America, and every time that there's someone who's speaking in favor of the Democrats, people always say, "You're getting paid." Are you getting paid, Mr. Darwin Clarke?
No. I tell you, my wife used to vote Republican all her life. I'm not getting paid, man. Look, I made more money when Trump was in than when Biden is in. So I should be voting Republican all day long, but I'm not one of the super rich guys that he's going to give tax breaks to and stuff like that. I still got to pay my fair share. So, yeah, look, this is my belief in life, right? If you educate everyone, bring everyone up, society in the whole will be better, right? So I don't want an ignorant guy to break in my house and, do something to my wife and I, stuff like that. I don't wish that on anyone. So I think if I give them the tools, education, free meals in school if you're poor, you can't afford lunch, pre-care, all the stuff to make you a better person, I think the world and America will be a better place. Instead of keeping people poor, not giving them the resources, I don't believe in that. Republicans
But
believe
there's
that.
a lot of people who. No, I was gonna say there's a lot of people who strive off of that, and that's how they continue to maintain their wealth by keeping people in that position.
Correct. There's politicians. He said, people don't have to go to college. People in the U.S. don't have to go to college, but he has like 5 or 6 kids in college. So if you're telling the poor people you don't need to go to college, why are your kids going to college? Doesn't make sense. But
No.
that is what I
It
don't
doesn't
like
make sense at all.
about the Republican Party. So they will talk about welfare, which is public assistance. And let's say we spend $1 on welfare, right? There's corporate welfare where the government subsidizes farmers, manufacturers, whatever, and it costs $10 or $20. But they will look at the dollar that is helping a single mom raise her kid right and stuff like that, and say, "Oh, we need to stop this welfare," or some person gets injured, can no longer work, they'll go on SIS, which the government pays for this, pays for that, but it's such a small portion of the American budget. We give away more money to other countries, but people will harp on that and fight on that, fight on abortion. It's like, come on, man. This is not 1940, But
And there's a lot of money that's being spent. A lot of money being sent around the world too. Every time there's a war, there's a conflict. There's a lot of money. We see
Yeah,
the numbers of the money being spent. I mean, not only on your side, but on the northern side too as well.
right,
So the public cries out, and the public says, "Hey, what about us?
right.
Why are you spending all this money overseas when you
And
can
you
do it
can't
right
help
here?"
us. Yeah, but the thing is, Derek, right? And I don't understand this about people. If you said, okay, what about me? You're going to spend $10 billion on Ukraine to help them defend themselves, but I will love a pair of shoes. You have people that are dying in a war, probably don't have food, trying to defend their country. You worry about a pair of shoes to put on your feet. I mean, so when you weigh the two things about what about me, leave our money here, it's like there's no weighing at all. So
You
if a
know,
market,
the flip side of that, Mr. Clark, is that I've heard another argument where someone said, "You know what? I don't know why we're fighting this war. We need to stop and end this war because they say Ukraine will never win. They say, look, like this is why we continue to send weapons for them to defend themselves because Russia is not going to let up and they're not going to
well,
end."
Ukraine will not stop getting their back in to defend themselves. So I mean, the same person that's saying, or people that are saying that Russia is going to definitely win, needs to send more money to help Ukraine win the war. Because all it is a path to destroy democracy. If Putin gets through Ukraine, he's going to hit Poland or another country and keep that thing rolling. Because those countries can't defend themselves. That's the honest to God truth. I heard the French Prime Minister, he wants the war in Gaza to stop, right? But think about it. If somebody invades France, if Putin invades France, France is gone. They can't defend themselves. I don't think the French have ever won a war. I mean, Cinco de Mayo is when the Mexicans defeated France. So if every country celebrate when they defeated France, like every day will be a holiday. I mean, they can't defend themselves. It's basically if a country invaded Canada. I mean, what are you guys going to do? You know what I mean? You don't have an
Well, the only
infrastructure
country
here.
that probably would do that would be, well, I won't say that, but I don't think anyone wants to invade Canada.
Right, but I'm saying, let's
Canada will
say,
just let you come in.
it's like, come on, but okay, you let them kill your citizens. But
Well, no,
yeah,
well, most people don't invade to just kill people. They invade for different reasons, right? I mean, in the process, there's killing, but usually it's not just to kill people.
yeah, there's going to be killing, there's
I
going to
mean,
be raping the women, and all the things that militaries do when they invade a country. And we cannot just give up on Ukraine. We cannot. I mean, absolutely not. And the thing is, if Trump gets in, he's going to pull the funding. So guess what? His good friend Putin is going to march through Ukraine, take all the resources there, the natural gas, the wheat, everything that they have, and keep moving.
but I did heard him say that it probably would never have had happened if he was president. That
It wouldn't, because he would give Putin carte blanche to do whatever he wants. Just go. You want a Ukraine? Yeah, let's go take them over. They only got like a week of weapons. Go get them. That's what he would have done. But you
well,
cannot invade some person's country like that. Because it never provoked him. He's just lined up on the outside, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's just bluffing." And then before you know it, he's rolling in. But you can't do that. You cannot do that. And who's to stop him from any other country? It's just you have
well,
to make a stand.
you're right, and the thing is that to me it was kind of when we saw that happening last year, it's like unbelievable. I remember it seems like in these times, every time that something like that happens, the world kind of stops. But then here we are over a year now, and we're still going at it, and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
to me sounds even crazier in these
because
times.
because you get desensitized And you figure, well, it's not happening down the street from my house, so I'm cool. It's like the hurricanes in Florida. You know, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, you're going to send money to help those folks. You're not going to say, okay, that's a red state. You know, forget you guys. They're Americans, so they'll get all the necessary help to get back on their feet. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility because I don't know if they'll get insurance coverage on their houses and stuff like that. You know, after a while. I mean, if you're getting hit with a hurricane every 3-4 months in the hurricane season, insurance companies are going to pull out and say, I'm not going to cover your homes. You know, Florida could easily bankrupt a couple of insurance companies with all the damage and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, there's going to be conflict all the time.
Is that tremendous?
And then you guys up north, nothing happens to you, man. I mean, like, what is the biggest natural disaster that can happen to Canada?
Just cold. I mean, like, cold alone is enough to keep people away. You know what I mean? You got like half the country is always cold. I mean, you're cold for like 8 months of the year. I mean, like, there's no reason. I'll tell you something though. All jokes aside, I live in Toronto, right? And if once Toronto warms up, there's a lot of violence. There's always shooting. Like this summer, has been a lot of shooting, a lot of people getting killed, shot on the street. So much stuff happening, and this is only when it warms up. But when it gets cold, everyone just hunkers down, and everyone just kind of.
but that's happening everywhere. So that's even happening in Barbados. You know what I mean? I heard some like 3 people got killed just recently, and stuff that was foreign to me when I was there. I mean, if you knew one person that had a gun in Barbados, it was some rich person, and now everyone has a gun. So I used to have guns. I got rid of my guns. I'm like, too old, man. It's like, I don't want to kill anyone, So I used to have.
There's no way you can get rid of all your guns in America, though. No way.
I got rid of mine. I have a friend of mine. He has 30 guns. One guy.
Yeah, I can believe that.
30 guns, Derek. For what? He's like, I just like guns. I'm like, okay. Well, why didn't you collect stamps or coins or something? It's like. But I got to a point where I told myself, I don't need a gun. I'm old enough. If someone breaks in my house and wants to kill me, go right ahead. I just give up. Because
hang on a second, Darwin. I mean, what kind of language is that? You say
I'll defend myself to the best of my ability, but I don't want to put somebody down. You know what I mean? Because I know if I had my gun in the house and somebody broke in the house and they were in my house, I will put them down. So I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do that. And I will have my gun in my car sometimes, right? And, guys would side-eye me, and I'm thinking, you just come pull my door, and I'll lay you down. But when I don't have my gun, I'm like, if you want the car, take it. You know what I mean? I can buy another one. So...
Well, I'm not going to pass I'm not going to lay any statements about myself on this side of the border. I'm just going to keep it like that.
Well, you guys don't have any guns up there. So
I'm just going to keep it like that, I got my laptop. I got my microphone. That's it. I got my cell phone. I'm not going to say any. I'm not going to make any declarations here. So let me keep it like that.
But the thing is, right? If something happened, I can walk into the store tomorrow and buy 2 AR-15s and whatever I want tomorrow. And that's a sad thing about America. It's like too many guns, and we can conceal carry. Like I had a concealed carry permit, so I can tuck my gun in my pants anywhere and cover it. Doesn't have to be open, doesn't have to be in the car, but you can't go in like bars, and there's certain areas you can't take a gun. But a restaurant, there's people that have the guns with them all the time in a family restaurant, and I'm thinking, why do you need a gun? And it's the people that they have to open carry, and it makes me just weird all the time, man. It's like, suppose this guy just loses his mind, or you know what I mean?
But now you got to think about that times thousands and millions of
Right.
people, right?
Exactly. But then, like you're saying, you have shootings in the summer. We have shootings all the time.
Hmm.
Schools, parties, random,
Yeah, it's
gangs, drug
crazy.
related. Yeah. I mean, I cannot turn on the news any day and not hear there's 3 or 4 shootings in my state. Yeah. And that's the blunt truth. Like every day, somebody gets shot. And imagine, right? I got 48 other states that probably have the same thing.
Hmm.
So if you multiply that by 3, we're probably killing 150 people per day in America, gun violence, because there's 3 or 4 in Seattle or Washington. Might be more that I don't hear about because, the news is usually centralized, so it's a big state. So it might be more than that. I'll look up the stats for our next conversation and see how many people die in America per gun violence per day.
Well,
And it'll
it's a
probably,
lot. It's
it's
a
a lot.
lot. I tell you.
It's a
It's
lot.
actually it's pretty shameful too, that it has to happen. But I think it's out of control, especially on your side. I mean, there's a big population that loves their guns. I don't even know why. I watched a video the other day with a guy in one of the remote areas of America, and he was an indigenous person, as you would
Hmm.
say,
Yeah.
and he had maybe a whole artillery. He had probably, I won't lie to you, over 30 guns or something. And but his whole thing is like, he just, we won't understand because use it for hunting, use it for different purposes, but that was it. I mean,
Yeah.
this was some serious weaponry. But anyways, I just was out of my mind. I was like, holy, why do
Yeah.
you need so much?
But
you
I,
know?
I remember one day I saw this guy. It was summertime. He was in shorts, no shirt on, had 2 holsters with 2 9mm and rounds, just walking down the street. And I'm thinking, are you insane? Are you going to like murder? But you can't stop him and say, hey, what's going on, guy? Like even the cops are skeptical to stop him because he's heavily armed. I can't say we shouldn't have him because we have the right to carry, the right to bear arms. So, but it's scary when you see a guy like that.
Yeah.
And we say if it's a black guy, definitely will get stopped. It's like, fuck it. But if he's a white guy, he'll walk and go wherever he's going and come back, and no big deal. Yeah. So that
I
we have
always
to do
find,
too.
yeah, I always find it's very interesting on your side of the border. I was listening to someone the other day, and they were saying that, how shocking was it when you found out that the sniper, a few years back, that there were
Yep.
two black males.
Hmm.
I mean, for us, it was a little bit shocking too
It
as
was
well. But
shocking. Yeah.
that was the whole conversation, was like, how shocking was it?
It was very. I mean, because
Crazy.
for years and years, black people weren't serial killers. You know, Serial killers are usually white. They had a profile on them, and it always started with white male, blah blah blah. Stays to himself, OCD, whatever. That was the makeup of a serial killer. Then all of a sudden, black people become serial killers. I'm like, come on, what are you guys doing? Leave that
Come
for the
on, man.
white folks. You know what I mean?
Like, come on. The guys want to be just like who they look up to. So,
They want to be white. But I don't know if I told you this, but Chris Rock made a joke about the serial killers have to be black because they didn't work on the weekends. And I swear to God, and the very next weekend, they went out and killed some people on the
oh
weekend.
my goodness.
Yes. But he
So you
made
trying to
that
say
just
that those guys were watching?
probably listening to Chris Rock. But yeah, that's a true statement. He said, they have to be black because they don't kill on the weekends. And that stereotype was true. No, the guys not working on the weekend, man. We got the weekend off. But it
I
turned out to
always felt
be,
like that time was very, very intimidating and
it
also very
was
scary at the
scary.
same
It
time.
was scary. I mean, you're walking out of a grocery store, hardware store, and boom. And, random, You know, they weren't like picking a specific person to shoot. You know, yeah, it was scary. But it was happening on the east side, so like you know, people can compartmentalize. Like, okay, it's not happening out here. That's the East Coast thing, you know. But
Yeah.
or Midwest, I think, Midwest East Coast thing. But it was sad. It was very very sad. Sad time in America. But luckily they got caught, you know, due diligence.
Oh
But now
yeah.
we have more cameras on the freeway, more cameras everywhere. So I know violent crime is down, but you still have the idiots that would do whatever, you know. But I'm hoping my little island gets some cameras and try to figure out this killing thing, man.
But
It's sad.
there's a lot of there's a lot of people on the island who have cameras everywhere, also on
Hmm.
their homes, especially to protect themselves. There was a time when people felt like cameras were a bit too invasive. And what's your thoughts on the cameras? You feel like the same way too, or you feel like more cameras? Because
Well,
I explain
I don't
because I
have anything to
remember.
hide, but it invades some of your privacy. It does. It really does. But to live in a better society, I would tolerate it. But I mean, everybody's in your house anyway. I was going to a job walk yesterday, and you know, I was talking to myself. I was going to plug the address into my phone, and the address was 176 34th Avenue something. Okay, and I said it out loud so I can remember to plug it into my phone. And I hit 17, and the address populated. And I was like, God damn, this is not freaking even funny. I mean, 176 in
No,
America
it's
can
not.
go to any state, anything can follow that. It could be 176 First Avenue, second, up to 100 and something Avenue. But it went straight to what I had said, and I didn't even speak it into the phone, and it was just scary. Or like when
Yeah,
your
I
phone
mean,
pops up and say I said home before, and my phone said home is not programming your phone, but you're 40 minutes away from home. But you know the AI knowing, okay, you leave this spot and goes here for X amount of hours, and at nightfall you're here, so it programs your home for you. It really
mhm.
does. So it knows what where's home based on your lifestyle. But
Yes, yes.
I really don't think I don't have anything to hide. So I mean, I'm fine with the cameras, but yeah, it invades your privacy. You can't go anywhere unless you're caught by a camera. And then in America, we have plate readers. So every 20, 30 miles, there's a machine that reads every license plate that goes by.
But
I,
there was a time when we out here in North America, I remember people who travel abroad, especially to China, would say things like, they hate the fact that you're recorded everywhere you go. And that's what they told me. I mean, I've never been to China, so I don't know. But I'm just saying that's what they say. So, but now, if you think about it, it's the same thing here.
the same thing
Everyone
here.
is protecting their property, and
Hmm.
everyone is using the cameras as a deterrence or using it as a tool to help them in court or for whatever reason.
Yeah,
It's helped solve a lot of murders, a lot of crime.
a lot of
So
crimes. Yeah.
how do you make the argument that is pretty invasive? People are saying no, bring more cameras.
Well, for progress, you know, sometimes you have to give stuff up, and that's a sad thing about our society right now. If we want to move on, live safer, that's one of the things. I mean, cops are going to sit in a room somewhere and just police from there. I think I read, and this is years ago. I read, I don't think it's in Morocco, but it's a country. There's you're either coming by sea, and there's like one road out that it's a high end tourist destination. And they were saying if you lost your wallet there, like let's say your wallet fell out your pocket, someone will pick it up and give it back to you because there were cameras everywhere. I don't think it's weird to have like a Grand Prix or some kind of car race, but I don't think it's Morocco.
Mm.
But it's by the ocean, some ocean, and yeah. But the world eventually would turn to that. I mean, they have to.
Huh. I wonder if it's Mauritius. Is not Mauritius, is it?
I don't remember. I don't. But they have a car race there, like a Formula One or some type of car race there. A very big car race too. I don't remember.
Maybe someone would let me know
Somebody would say,
about.
"Yeah, that idiot is so and so."
So, I wanted to, before I know you, I wanted to ask you this. By the way, is Thanksgiving weekend this weekend for us, so
Well,
we
happy
have a long
Thanksgiving.
weekend coming up.
All right. We have Indigenous People or Columbus Day, something on Monday. I think is actually Indigenous People, but it used to be Columbus Day. Yeah. So saying that
Yeah,
Columbus didn't discover America is Indigenous Peoples Day.
there's a lot of history that people are starting to look at very carefully now, especially in these times, with so much things being a lot more clear to people.
Hmm.
The information is there, here, there, left, right, and center. But I wanted to ask you this, and it brings us right back to horse racing and also the sport of horse racing. First of all, is horse racing still the sport of kings?
Sport of the rich. I don't know, kings. In our small island, not anymore. In Barbados, definitely not. But the rest of the world, yeah. I mean, most of the Grade One races are won by a small majority. Um, so I would say yes. But they're inroads, the smaller guys are making inroads. And over the last week, they had the Tattersall sales, and kind of a new guy on the scene. He spent maybe 17 million in horse flesh, and he was of the same opinion too. At least he said he did the research. And in England, it's only a small pocket of homebred. The big guys still win those Group One races. So for the bigger horse racing jurisdictions or places, it's still the sport of kings, yes. But Barbados will be the exception to the rule. I mean, there's so many small owners, one horse breeders and stuff that are winning races there, and I don't think the big boys at the top will be re-upping. I mean, when David Seal, God bless his soul, whenever his time is up and he's ready to go, I don't know if his family would take on that responsibility. We have the Smiths there. They have a pretty large breeding outfit. I don't know if that will continue. And then it's up to the island. I mean, 3-4 horse breeders and the 1 horse breeders. So definitely not Barbados. It's not the sport of the kings anymore.
So I guess, in a sense, what would happen to that whole infrastructure of horsemen? They would have to rethink things, or even it takes some of you horse owners who are willing to just invest a little bit more. I mean, you've done that, but you've done your share, and you continue to give back to something that brought you to a point in your life. But I mean, for others, they might have to carry the same mantle, right?
Yeah, well, when I retire, I mean, I would invest heavily or more heavy or heavier in racing in Barbados. But that's when I retire. I mean, I am thinking about working another 7 years or so. Obviously, that would be wife dependent. So if my wife passed away yesterday, I would probably, pull my stumps up and go somewhere. I'm not sure if I'll do North America or Barbados, or split Barbados and North America. But yeah, I'll put some more money into Bayesian racing. I don't think I'll be a huge breeder, maybe 5 mare, 6 mare stops. But that would be my contribution. Now, if I'm living there full time, then maybe more. But I don't foresee myself living there full time. So I'll probably split, 6-7 months, one place or the other.
Okay. The other question, which ties into the sport of kings, is gambling versus sport. there was a time where, and I think right now, horse racing, because when I talk to people who are very ignorant about horse racing and don't know, not even an exactor or a trifecta or a triactor, whatever, however you want to put it, they knows nothing really about the sport, and I introduced them to my channel and to horse racing, and I said, the first thing that they think about is gambling. And
Hmm.
for some people, it feels like it's a sore spot, right? Like gambling is gambling. But do you think that horse racing has a bad name and in terms of gambling? But in these times, most of the sport are all sports you can gamble on right now,
Yep.
and there's
But
nothing that holds it back. People gamble probably more on the other sports than horse racing.
well, horse racing was one of the first sports you can gamble on, legally gamble on. So you can say they were the template, right? But like you said, you can bet on anything. You can bet on who wins the presidency in America. Everything you can bet on. Um, but it was always gambling. It started out as a sport, obviously, but to maintain the racing, the racetrack, and all that, you started betting on horses. You started having the paris, and it's just grown. And we need gambling to sustain it. Even the kings that have the horses and buys the expensive horses, they're looking for a return. It may not be 20-30% of what their expenditure is, but it's something in return. And it will always be gambling. I mean, to run a profitable racetrack, your handle per day has to be north of $1 million. So that comes by gambling, you know. So yeah, it's gambling. So when people say it's still a sport, yes, it's a sport, but it's not. Well, every sport you can bet on. So yeah,
Well,
so
yeah,
it's gambling.
that's my whole point. Is so
But
I
horse
mean,
racing was one of the first.
really, sport.
Well, it's not. It's not a sport. People don't do it for fun anymore. I mean, obviously you have the joy and the excitement, but you still need to make money. You still need to, at least subsidize your operation, and that comes from the purses, which are usually generated from gambling.
So that like in most sports, you get trophies, you get the jewelry, as they put it,
Hmm.
and I just earlier today when Rocco won his titles, and he got the jewelry.
Hmm.
Um, and I just wonder about that. Like even for him, I think he's 19 or 20 years in the sport, or in been writing for that long. Is it that long? I think it's that long. But he's
Yeah,
been writing for,
probably.
yeah,
I
I
think
think
he's
so.
30
Jeez.
something. Yeah, close to 20 years at least. Yeah.
So I just wonder for persons like that, for patriot husbands, people, who've been around for a while, do they have the same feeling holding a trophy versus just when
Just some
let me get
cash.
my check and go home. you know,
But,
what is it really? Is it the same thing?
well, some people will still write for the trophy, but people need the cash to survive, to live, So it goes hand in hand, but it's always about the money. I mean, there's certain writers that would say, okay, I'm not going to ride in this type of race. I'm going to ride stake races, allowance races, where the purses are bigger. They'll reduce their liability of falling, getting hurt and stuff like that, and just ride bigger races, bigger purses, make more money. But it's all about
Absolutely.
money whenever it comes down to. I mean, you're not going to buy $4 million horse to run, for 2,500. It's just they want to ride in the group races, win those races, and then hopefully that stallion or mare goes to stud, and then they can sell the babies or whatever. So it's a business and it's a gamble. So it's not a sport anymore.
Well, but that clears a lot of stuff up, because we always wonder why do they keep to put certain horses in stake races when we are clearly seeing that they can't win. But they continue. I mean, I'm not pointing any one horse out, but there are some horses that I know from watching racing that I continue to see them running in stake races and they just won't win.
Right.
But the owners or trainers, whoever, continue to go in that direction but won't drop them. You know, it's
So
quite interesting.
if you finish third in a stake race and you get black type, and you're a filly or a mare, you know, you're worth more in the breeding shed. So a lot of people do that too. They just want to run third, get that black type. You know, the whole family now has a little black type in it. So different reasons.
Well, I mean that makes it a lot clearer. And I guess from a breeding point of view and from an ownership point of view, from a fan point of view, some of those things just don't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because the fans are the ones who are spending the money, who are like
they're making the odds, right? They're making the odds.
That's right.
But yeah, the gambling is such a huge part, man. I mean, so like in COVID, tracks were making more money with no one in the stands because everybody was at home gambling. And some tracks did the best handle when, you know, at COVID time, because, you know, especially in the US, you had all this money and nothing to buy with it really. You know, you're not partying, you're not going to bars, you're not doing those external things. Everybody was hunkered down, so like, oh, let's gamble. Just gamble away. And horse racing was one.
Yeah, it's crazy because we had all these Amazon packages at our door all the time, you know.
And horse racing was open for business, you know. Yep. I think Assiniboia Downs had the best year during COVID. Yep. They made a ton of money. You Canadians were gambling.
Well, Canadians do that very well. Again, Canadians are very smart. You know, it's funny because I'll go to events and I'll think I'm the only one who's checking the horse racing on my phone. But then I'm not the only one. And I prove it to you because, you know, at my daughter's event, and I'm there, say, checking on the horses, checking on my jockeys that I got like favorites or whatever in my app. And when they run, I check on them to see how they're doing. And then I look to my left and there's this Asian guy who is watching the races on his phone.
Oh my God.
I'm like, man, it's not only me.
But that race love gambling. Oh my God, they love gambling, love the casinos. Oh my God. Oh, have you ever watched Japan racing?
I watch it every now and then. Like on a long weekend now, I might just watch it because I'm up later, so I'll watch more racing.
The stands are packed, and it's like, oh my God, yeah.
Thanks for the information on the politics, the wars,
the gambling.
You know, I can't wait for our next conversation because I think the one good thing I like about this, Darwin, is that we always have a wide variety of topics that you can talk about or touch on. And to me, that tells me a little bit more about the horseman. The horseman is just not the horseman who goes and looks after horses, and that's all he's stuck in. And that's what I'm really trying to get from most of my guests is just a little bit more to show people.
A little bit of them, yeah.
Horse people know stuff too. They just don't look after horses, you know. They're part of this whole big society.
Yes, we have to be. It might be a little grain of sand, but you make up the beach, you know. So
that's right.